Good morning, folks. I hope everyone's doing well here as we embark on our next week of learning over the internet. Just so everybody knows, if you're watching this video, we're back on Twitch. I sent out an email at the end of last week letting everybody know that the suspension was lifted and I can once again stream to all of you lovely people from, I don't know, my cave. And hopefully that'll help out. If you've got questions or anything, it looks like we have had our school closure extended by one day. Right now, just one day over into April 15th. But thanks to the federal government and the president yesterday, he said businesses like schools should stay shut until the end of April. So we'll see. I want you guys to be aware that what we could be looking at is a situation where we are testing you online. Definitely with this current unit. There is no likelihood that it's going to extend that kind of distance. We're going to be done this week. And then over our normal spring break of next week, I'm going to give you guys something small. Just kind of like a review and practice sheet. And then when we come back, that we're going to be having the test, one way or the other. So let's go over today. Today, the goal really was to make sure that all of you understand the effect that calorie intake has. And there's no real notes for this. I would love to say that this is a very, very strong learning standard lesson, but this one isn't. This is just of importance to yourself and your health, so that you guys understand what's going on. So basically, the idea is pretty simple. Everything that goes in usually has some kind of nutritional benefit, some sort of advantage that we get by having it. The problem is when too much goes in. And, then you start to get the extra flesh that you see here, the belly that you're aware I have. Those things are due to too many calories. Now, the amount of calories that you need varies. There are general rules, and those are decent guidelines, but I wouldn't keep those as the only guidelines. And the reason that I say that is because everybody's going to be different. And people who are highly active may require more calories in order to maintain their weight and their physical shape. People who are less active actually need fewer calories. But usually, what we find out is quite the opposite in terms of eating behavior. And people who are less active eat more, people who are highly active eat less. It's something to watch out for. On average, the average woman needs roughly 2,000 calories a day to maintain where you are weight wise. If you gain more than 2,000, you are going to increase your weight. Meanwhile, if you reduce below 2,000, down around 1,500, that's usually accepted to be a reduction that will result in at least 1 pound lost per week. But that's cutting down the calorie requirement by a quarter just to lose 1 pound a week on average. For men, it's a little bit different. Gentlemen, we tend to require more calories in order to maintain. For the average man, it's about 2,500 calories, with 2,000 being what you cut down to in order to lose weight at the rate of about a pound a week on average. Now, your body takes all these extra calories, and what we do is we just take this cell, right? A fat cell. And a fat cell is basically a lot of vacuoles and very little of anything else. It doesn't require a lot to maintain. It basically just takes all these extra lipids, which is how we store our calories. When we have too much, we take those carbohydrates, those sugars, and we store them, converting them into fat. And then we plug that into these fat cells. The fat cells swell, get bigger and bigger and bigger. Every time you make a fat cell, you can never get rid of it. It's there for life, which is why it's always easier to put on weight after losing it than to keep it off. Because as soon as you start to exceed your calorie requirement, that extra just gets stored away. And so that fat cell that had shrunk back down like a deflated balloon and was just sitting there, all of a sudden, new lipids are brought in and it starts to swell up again like it's reinflating. It's one of the major reasons why a lot of diets all fail, because what they're doing is they're giving you a means to reduce your calorie intake now, but they're not giving you a lifestyle change to keep that off. If you want to lose weight and maintain it, you need to change the way that you live. You need to change the way that you act. You need to reroute some of your thought processes. That's hard. Diet industries don't want you to do that. They want you to succeed with them, yay, then fail. So you come back to them again. So they get your money over and over and over again. That's their goal. So, as we're taking a look at something like calories, today, what I'm going to have you do is plot out what is arguably one of the worst ideas for any form of maintenance or health, and that is I'm going to ask you to plot 3 days of fast food diet. And the way that we're going to do that, let me bring this over. Schoology's finally working. This morning it was not. Now things seem to be okay. If we take a look, this first link that you see right here, Diet Lab, right? That's going to be the main lab that we're working on. Oh, of course. And when you can, you should be able to open that up and find out that what I've done is I've listed 3 days with a bunch of blanks, and now it doesn't want to work hardly at all. And for each of those days, what I want you to do is detail out what you would eat and then use the nutrition guide that we have to figure out how many calories is it, how many grams of fat, and how many grams of sugar. Now, be careful. They are going to label carbohydrates, separate from sugar. You want to make sure you're looking in the sugar-specific category because, remember, we've talked about this multiple times, diabetes. And so, let's say that in a given day, if all you were going to eat was McDonald's, let's say that you would have 3 medium sodas. Well, each soda is going to be worth a certain calorie amount. I'm just going to guess right now, but let's say 230. 230 calories times 3, and 230 times 3. So you're going to have 690 total calories. Grams of fat, well, that's easy. That's 0. Just soda. But grams of sugar, okay. Well, each one of those medium, and once again, I'm just making up a value here, has, let's say, about 27 grams of sugar. Well, 27 times 3. That would be 81 grams of sugar just from the soda. Then you also got to count, well, what are you going to eat for breakfast? What are you going to eat for lunch? For dinner? And most likely, you would have more than one thing. Assume that for the case of this lab, every single item that you're going to eat for a 3-day time period has to come from McDonald's. There's an old documentary called Super Size Me that the producer, director, actor, whatever you want to call it, not an actor, that's probably not accurate. But either way, he went on a McDonald's only diet for 30 days. Now, the movie is actually quite long. And we're not going to watch it, but I encourage you to look it up if you're interested because it's pretty eye-opening. And this is from a different time period now. That movie came out around 2000, almost 20 years ago. So the fast food industry has changed. It's changed a lot since then. That's not to say it's gotten better, but it has changed a lot. Now, you're going to be able to find this information on a variety of different places. And if you don't want to use McDonald's because you think that they're a soulless, scum sucking business that you don't even want to touch as a lab report that makes them look terrible, okay, don't use them. You can find all of these nutrition facts about any fast food industry in the United States. By law, they have to include it. That doesn't mean that they're going to make it easy for you to find. It doesn't mean that they're not going to try to hide it on some random link at the bottom left of a page. It just needs to be there. But if you say you want to do Wendy's or Burger King or Taco Bell or something like that, do it. If there's anybody out there that decides, you know what, you're really interested in looking at a slightly different thing, and maybe you want to work on or hit up Subway or Boston Market, or maybe you decide that you really like somewhere like Moe's. Absolutely. Any of those, by all means. Explore it, take a look at it, find out what your actual diet for 3 days would look like if you relied on that location, because that could be awesome. We may find out that there are a couple of these that are actually reasonably healthy, that aren't a terrible life choice. Now, I found some other neat stuff, so I want to show you guys this. First one, McDonald's has a nutrition calculator now. So, if you want to, you still got to list for me what you're going to do, but you could go through here and go, well, let's see, for breakfast, I don't know, I'll take a sausage egg McMuffin, I'll add that. For a drink, I'd probably start the day off with something like, well, let's be good and say an orange juice. We'll add that. And then, some sort of a snack, maybe some yogurt for the morning. You could find something like, okay, they don't even have yogurt. Never mind. Apple pie. There we go. Now, if you do all of that, it tells you what you're looking at already. So just starting with that stuff, we're looking at 790 calories, 36 grams of fat, which is 53% of your daily value, 100 grams of carbohydrates, which, remember, I warned you, they're not going to tell you the sugar. You're going to need to look that one up. They just want to give you the total carbohydrates, because then they can blame it on bread, they can blame it on syrup, they can blame it on anything else that's involved in there, not just the sugar that's been added to it, really. Although syrup is pretty... Anyway, you get the idea. And, you can look at protein, too. So if you decide that you don't want to do things individually, you can come here and use this nutrition calculator of theirs in order to check things out, look them up, and hopefully get some good information. So, 3 days. You're going to label all of them down. Then you're going to total it for each value. Calories all the way down. Fat all the way down. Sugar all the way down. Average it, which means to divide it by 3, because you're going to be taking your value for 3 days, so get your total, divide it by 3, and then at the bottom of the page, which unfortunately I can't show you now, because it is still errored and doesn't want to work, you'll be able to compare that to what a healthy, normal diet should require. And then I want you to think, how much of that added fat, of that added sugar, of those extra calories, do we actually see? How does your body have to handle that? What sort of body systems is it going to stress? And then, I've got some videos for you. Here is the first one. Now, this is Matt Stoney. This is Burritozilla. I'm not going to play too much more. Fair use. But phenomenal. Watch this for any form of digestive system. Watching somebody do something like this is incredible. Now, that first video is good, highly entertaining, and I've included a link in Schoology. But most of his videos are really, really impressive. Now, for this one, he is deciding to eat this entire meal.
Challenge.
20,000 calorie Super Bowl challenge.
All right, let's see what we got. 75 Hooters chicken wings. They also give the entire box of celery. An entire extra large Costco combination pizza. 3 quarter-pound cheeseburgers with lettuce and tomato I grilled myself. 3 bowls of chili and cheese. And last but not least, an entire party-sized bag of Doritos. This is 20,455 calories.
And I'm stopping there once again so you guys can actually see. Feel free to fast forward through the actual him eating, but realize in one sitting that gentleman right there is eating 10 days worth of calories. It's incredible. And then the final step for today is this. And this is an example of somebody who has gone too far. And he talks about exactly what his issues are with food and about the effect that it's had and how cognizant he is of it, how aware he is of what the problem is and the effect that it's having on him. And this video doesn't go very far. You can find a lot more through the BBC if you actually want to follow his journey. But this one is just the setup because he is planning to have gastric bypass surgery in order to physically reduce his stomach, in order to force him to eat less, to take in fewer calories, to lose weight, and hopefully get healthier. But these things challenge all of us. 2 things that we cannot live without: oxygen and food. And so it becomes very easy for us to become overly addicted or to not even think about it when we're eating. It also doesn't help. Think back to the nervous system, right? We were designed in order to find sugar and fat and to eat it. Because in nature, that stuff just doesn't exist, not normally. And now, here we are in modern day, but we are still using that ancient processor that says there's fat, there's sugar, eat it, get all of it that you can, even though that's not necessary in today's day. In this day and age, we have all of those foods whenever we want them, basically at will. And so we have this terrible scenario where we still get the dopamine. We still get all those good neurotransmitters that give us huge reward signals for eating things that are bad for us. Normally they wouldn't be bad for us, but normally in nature you might encounter a wild cheeseburger only once every couple months. Not something that you could get 3 of for a single meal. Something as sugary as soda basically didn't exist in nature. And when you found it, it was not going to last long. That kind of sugar rots and goes bad very, very, very quickly. So, hopefully this helps. When I see everybody tomorrow, we're going to be moving on. We're going to be talking more about the impacts that can happen on the digestive system. We'll start taking a look at different health risks, health concerns regarding it, all those different bits and bobs that everyone should be aware of. And I really hope that people join me, because as of right now at 11:20 in the morning, there are 0 viewers in the Twitch channel, which is sad. I want to say hello to people. I feel very lonely right now. I don't get to leave the house. I'm just kind of stuck here. So, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you have a good day. I hope you're staying safe. I hope you're keeping healthy. And I'll see you all tomorrow. Take care.